You used to be able to fix your own car with a wrench and a weekend. Now, you need a software subscription, a dealer login, and 3 weeks on a waiting list just to reset a sensor. And the worst part? The part itself is not even broken. The car just will not accept it without permission. This is not about one bad dealership experience. It is a pattern that has been building for 20 years, quietly and gradually, until one Saturday morning, you pop the hood and realize you're not really sure you are allowed to be in there anymore. Here is what changed, why it happened, and what it is actually costing you. Let's start with the most fundamental shift. Software now controls hardware, replacing a sensor or a fuel injector used to end when you tightened the last bolt. On a growing number of modern vehicles, it does not. The car's control network needs to recognize the new part before it will operate it. That step requires software, often dealer-level software, that most independent shops and virtually all home mechanics do not have access to. Battery replacement is the example most people stumble into first. On certain modern vehicles with start-stop systems, putting in a new battery without registering it to the body control module causes the charging system to behave incorrectly. It may overcharge or undercharge the new battery from day one. The fix takes about 2 minutes with the right scan tool. Without it, you have just shortened the life of the battery you paid for. It is a small thing, but it is a signal of how much the relationship between parts and software has changed. The OBD 2-port standardized in 1996 was a genuine win for owners. Affordable scanners, common protocols, readable codes. That foundation still exists. What has been built on top of it is more complicated. Manufacturer-specific modules, transmission control, airbag systems, and advanced driver assistance systems often require brand-specific software to access fully. Your $40 reader pulls generic powertrain codes. What is happening inside the other 15 modules in that car is a different conversation, and having access to it costs money. Independent shops are adapting. Many are investing in multi-platform professional diagnostic tools just to stay in the game. But the do-it-yourself owner, who used to handle their own diagnostics, is now working with an incomplete picture unless they are prepared to spend significantly on equipment that updates constantly. Then, there's the parts pairing problem. A growing number of components are electronically matched to the specific vehicle they came from. Airbag modules, ABS controllers, and engine control units in particular. A used part pulled from a salvage yard, same make, same model, same part number, may not function in your car without reprogramming. And that reprogramming often requires dealer access. A part that costs $80 used might need $200 in programming labor on top of it if it can be programmed at all. This is not universal across all makes and models. Plenty of parts still swap cleanly. But the trend is consistent, and it changes the math on repair decisions in ways that were not true even a decade ago. Physical access has gotten harder too. Engine bays are more crowded. Smaller displacements, turbochargers, emissions equipment, and tight packaging have made routine jobs more time-consuming on certain platforms. Spark plug replacement on some modern V6 engines requires removing intake components to reach the rear bank. Water pumps driven off the timing system involve significant disassembly. These jobs are not impossible. They are just no longer a Saturday afternoon. The counterpoint is real though. Modern engines often have extended service intervals that reduce how frequently you are doing these jobs at all. Some spark plugs are rated for 100,000 miles. Timing chains have largely replaced timing belts with no scheduled replacement interval. Fewer jobs, even if each one is more involved, can still work out in your favor depending on how long you keep the vehicle. Here is one that catches people off guard: the calibration economy. More repairs now end with a required calibration procedure that needs specialized equipment. The most common one people run into is windshield replacement. The forward-facing camera behind your windshield, the one feeding your lane keeping and automatic emergency braking systems, needs to be recalibrated to the new glass. That requires a target board, correct lighting, a level surface, and software. Some glass shops have the equipment, many do not. If yours does not, you will need to make a second appointment somewhere else. Radar sensors after bumper repairs, steering angle sensors after suspension work, throttle body relearns after cleaning. These routine calibration steps are becoming part of common repairs. Each one adds cost and time to jobs that used to be finished when the physical work was done. The knowledge gap is widening too, and this one is worth being direct about. For most of automotive history, a motivated person with a service manual and time could learn to handle a meaningful portion of their own repairs. That is harder now, not because people are less capable, but because manufacturer service information is increasingly behind subscription paywalls. Wiring diagrams for late-model vehicles can run hundreds of pages, and software behavior often is not documented publicly at all. Right-to-repair legislation is actively being debated in multiple states. Some laws have passed. The situation is moving, and it is worth following if this matters to you. Look up the current status in your state, because it varies, and it changes. The last point is about cost tolerance. Older vehicles were more forgiving of deferred maintenance. If you skipped a service interval, the consequences were gradual. Modern vehicles with integrated systems can be less forgiving when something is ignored. A failing component in one system can cause another system to compensate incorrectly. A software update that was not applied can leave a known issue running. The interconnection that makes modern vehicles sophisticated also makes them less forgiving of neglect. This does not mean modern vehicles are fragile. Many are extremely durable when properly maintained. But the maintenance mindset that worked on a simple older truck does not translate directly. Modern vehicle ownership rewards attentiveness more than older vehicles did. So where does that leave you, practically? If repairability matters to you, if you want to handle your own work, use independent shops without drama, and avoid situations where a sealed module ends a repair conversation, do your research before you buy. Look up whether common repairs on that specific platform require dealer software. Check whether a strong, independent community exists for it. Find out what the labor time looks like on 3 basic jobs. If you are buying a used vehicle, get an independent pre-purchase inspection. Pull the codes yourself with a basic OBD2 scanner. Check for open recalls through the NHTSA database by VIN. Look at the service history for software updates and recall completions. A vehicle that has been kept current is in a better starting position than one that has not. And if you are deciding between older and newer, be honest about the trade. Older vehicles offer simpler systems and more accessible repairs. They also bring rust risk, lower passive safety ratings, worse fuel economy, and their own parts availability concerns depending on the platform. Neither choice is objectively right. They are differently situated, and the right answer depends on your use case, your budget, and your mechanical comfort level. The DIY era did not end because people stopped wanting to work on their own vehicles. It changed because the vehicles changed, one model year at a time, one integrated module at a time, until the cumulative effect became impossible to ignore. Knowing that does not lower the repair bill, but it does help you walk into a purchase or a repair decision with a clear picture of what you are actually dealing with. If this kind of practical, no-nonsense content is useful to you, subscribe. Please leave a comment describing the last repair you tried to handle yourself and what you ran into. That information helps every other owner watching.